Welcome back to StadiumRise, June 20 to 2026, Toronto, Canada. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Germany walk out at BMO Field, and a statement is already being made before a single ball is kicked. 7 goals, 1 match, 1 message. 6 days ago at NRG Stadium in Houston, Germany dismantled Curaçao 7-1. Not a comfortable win, not a polished result, a demolition, a declaration. A team that went out in the group stage in 2018 and again in 2022, humiliated twice on the world stage, arriving at their 3rd consecutive World Cup with something to prove and the quality to prove it. Today, at BMO Field in Toronto, they face Ivory Coast. And a win here puts Germany into the round of 32 with a match to spare. This is the stadium where it happens, and today we go inside it. BMO Field sits on the western waterfront of Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, on the shores of Lake Ontario, with the CN Tower visible to the northeast and the cold grey water stretching to the horizon behind the south stand. It opened in 2007, built at a cost of just $63 million as the first football-specific stadium in Canada. Designed purely for the sport, not converted from a multi-use complex, not adapted from an NFL bowl, every seat angled toward the pitch, every sightline built for football. A steel canopy covering 3 stands, trapping noise, creating an intimacy that stadiums 10 times its size cannot match. The numbers tell one part of the story. BMO Field is the smallest venue in the entire 2026 World Cup. Original capacity just over 28,000, expanded with 17,756 temporary seats for the tournament to reach 736. FIFA officially renamed it Toronto Stadium for the duration of the World Cup, stripping the corporate branding as they do at every venue. But nobody in Canada calls it Toronto Stadium. This building has a name. This building has a history. And today it hosts one of the tournament's most anticipated group stage clashes. For the World Cup, BMO Field underwent major preparation works, a completely new playing surface installed to FIFA's exact specifications, updated broadcast facilities, expanded hospitality zones, new entrances built to handle international crowds. The temporary north and south end structures brought the building up to World Cup standard without changing what makes it special. The proximity of the fans to the pitch, the intimacy of the bowl, the way the canopy holds the atmosphere inside like a hand cupped around a flame. 6 matches total here during 2026. Canada's historic home opener on June 12. Germany versus Curaçao, that 7-1 statement, was actually played in Houston. Today is Germany's 2nd group match. Then Ivory Coast versus Ecuador on June 25th, and a round of 16 here, which means Toronto gets knockout football on its waterfront now. Germany 4 World Cup titles, 1954, 1974, 1990, 2014. The most storied football nation in the history of the tournament alongside Brazil. And yet, the humiliation of Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022 cannot be ignored. 2 consecutive group stage exits. South Korea in 2018, Japan in 2022. A nation that built its footballing identity on tournament football, on knockout resilience, on winning when it mattered. Embarrassed twice in 6 years at football's biggest stage, the response has been total. Julian Nagelsmann rebuilt the squad with youth and directness. Florian Wirtz, perhaps the most technically gifted German player of his generation, leads the attack alongside Kai Havertz and Leroy Sane. Jamal Musiala brings creativity and unpredictability. At the back, Jonathan Tah and Antonio Rudiger form one of the most experienced centre-back partnerships in European football. This is a Germany squad with Premier League winners, Champions League winners, and the hunger of a nation that has spent 4 years watching what went wrong and correcting it. The 7-1 against Curaçao was not just a scoreline. It was a message. Germany scored in the 8th minute, never stopped. 7 different goal scorers. Controlled, ruthless, professional. The kind of performance that sends a warning to every team in this tournament. Today, Ivory Coast provide a different test entirely. The Elephants arrived in 2026 as Africa Cup of Nations champions. A squad built around players from the Premier League, Serie A, and League One. Simon Adingra of Brighton, Seko Fofana, Nicolas Pepe's younger generation replacements, a technically gifted, physically powerful team that beat Ecuador 1-0 in their opening match. They will not be swept aside like Curaçao. But Germany under Nagelsmann do not look like a team that can be swept aside either. BMO Field for this match will be unlike the Canada opener 2 weeks ago. The red and white of Canada's passionate home crowd has given way to a more international atmosphere. German fans in black, red and gold filling sections of the temporary stands. Ivory Coast supporters in orange. A Toronto crowd that has followed this World Cup with the enthusiasm of a city that has genuinely fallen in love with football hosting on its waterfront. The stakes are simple. Win today and Germany are through to the knockout stage. The 3rd match against Ecuador at MetLife Stadium in New York becomes a game to manage rather than a game to survive. The path to a first World Cup semi-final since 2014 opens in front of them. BMO Field holds 45,736 people today. the smallest crowd at any of Germany's 3 group matches. But in football, intimacy is not a weakness. Sometimes the most important matches happen in the smallest rooms. And today, in the smallest stadium of this entire tournament, one of the greatest footballing nations on earth takes another step toward proving that 2018 and 2022 were an interruption. Not the end of the story. Germany are back. They mean business. And today at BMO Field, they intend to make that perfectly clear. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. See you next week.